And welcome to another episode of Sports Talk for You. My name is Aaron Bell. I have my co-host Chase Gibson, Armand Ely, and Adam Parker with us today. We are here with a very special guest, and I will let Adam Parker take it away and introduce him.
Yeah, our special guest is Rick Parr. He used to be the general manager of El Paso Diablos and then the Tucson Sidewinders. And then when the Sidewinders left Tucson, they went up to Reno and became the Reno Aces. And then just recently, or a couple years ago, he quit being the general manager of the Reno Aces to be the sports commission down there in El Paso, Texas. So welcome to the show, Rick. Thanks for being on with us.
Adam, thank you. And let's thank the entire team there, because I know it's always a team effort whenever you put something on. So this is great. Look forward to it. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Thank you. And I guess the first question I got to ask you is, how did you become the GM of well, you could start with the El Paso Diablos, and then how did you then go from them to the Tucson Sidewinders?
Well, it was interesting because I was in football for a while, and I was one of the coaches at the University of Texas at El Paso. And I had to make a decision whether Jim Paul wanted me to go on with the baseball team, and I had to make a decision, baseball or football. And at the time, it looked like, you know what, let's do baseball. I haven't done it. Enjoy the sport, love it to be exact. And I decided to join him because I thought he was one of the leading figures in knowing how to run a ball club, and also, more importantly, how to promote a ball club, because it was all about promoting in the minor leagues. If you could promote well and draw a crowd, you could make some money. And then everybody wins. So that's kind of how I got that part of it done. And ending up with the Sidewinders. Remember 9/11? We were talking about that a little bit. On the day we were announcing that we were selling the club, the El Paso Diablos, that was going to be on 9/11. We never had that interview because of the two towers that came down. And it was a sad day, and we knew that there was nothing we could do about it. So we just eliminated it altogether. And I became the next general manager for the Tucson Sidewinders, and never regretted it. Had a great time, loved every minute of it. And you'll see why after we talk about it
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a quick question. As you probably know, Wichita here is getting the AAA team again, and it's called the Wichita Wind Surge. How do you think Wichita will do with the AAA team after not having any type of semi-pro baseball in the last 12 years?
Well, keep in mind when you say semi-pro, it's pro baseball.
Pro, yeah.
So, I mean, it is. And I used to correct people all the time because I used to hear that all the time. And I'd say, no. These guys get paid. They're professional athletes. They're just younger. That's all. And they haven't made it to the big leagues yet. But let me tell you something. If promoted well, I think it will be fabulous. I think you guys will have a great time. I think as long as you not only have people that are promoting it, but they know what they're doing, you will definitely have a successful program. There's no doubt about it. Now, you may not win all the games you want to win. You'll win some, you'll lose some, and then there's going to be heartbreaks, and there's also going to be games that you go, wow, these guys are really good. And you put it all together and maybe get lucky and win a couple of championships, and that's all it takes.
Yep.
I made it sound easy, but it's not that easy.
Hey, Rick, first off, congratulations on getting inducted to the El Paso Baseball Hall of Fame in 1998.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that was a big moment for me. I really appreciated that, and all the people involved that elected me in there.
So I want you to talk about some of the players that you had coming up through El Paso, some of your favorite players getting to kind of oversee during your time there?
Well, there were tons of players come and go, because whenever we were talking about, we were just talking about some of the coaches and things that we had when we were there. And I can remember, man, they came in, they left, they were gone. They either went to the major leagues, they went to another club because somebody else wanted them. And it was pretty much like that with the same players. The good ones that we really had didn't stay that long. I mean, we were lucky to be able to keep them for a half a year, and sometimes we were able to only because they were stacked at the major league level and they couldn't move up. And so they had to fight it out a year with us. And it wasn't fighting, but it was fighting for your life is what it was. Some of these guys were so talented that never made it. And that I would sometimes just look at them and just go, wow, man, all you need is a break. You just need one break where a player gets injured at the major league level, that you get a chance to really go up and do some things. On the top of my mind, I can't think of the guys that were. There's so many of them, and actually I would have put it in my brain, but I've been so far removed from the programs that it's like that's not fresh in my brain. But I got to tell you, we had some great ones. There used to be a guy named John Jaha that I remember a long time ago. Man, he could just whip that baby out of the park in about 2 seconds. And we had players like that in and out all the time. Some of the guys were great athletes, great people, by the way, and also just, great athletes. And you went by so many of them, you would think that, wow, how did some of these guys miss it? Well, you know what? You can say luck. You can say being at the place at the right time, playing at the right time, having an injury at the major league level that gave you a break. Maybe you got it in a trade and they needed you. Maybe it was all kinds of different things. We really had some knockdown players, and I can't just right off the top of my head just think of all of them because of all that we went through. There were so many beautiful players, and I got to tell you, we had tons of managers that came through as well, and it was just a great experience. And then when you find out that they make it to the big leagues and become successful, it's awesome. You just pull for those guys, and it's a wonderful time. So all I can tell you is tons of them, and some of them got injured that we never got to see.
Yeah, one of those managers he had talked about, one of them was Chip Hale, who's now a coach with the Washington Nationals, who's won the World Series. Tell me about your experience with Chip when he was with Tucson.
Let me tell you something. Chip Hale was I absolutely loved the guy. I thought he was an outstanding manager, young guy when he was with us, but he was full of all kinds of stuff. I mean, he had energy. He had ways to win ball games that you never heard of before, but he was motivated. He wanted to win worse than any person I think I've ever seen in my life. And he was a great guy. He was a great ambassador for the game. Good speaker, really good coach. And players respected him too. And you got to have that at the minor league level, because I tell you what, there's a lot of these guys that are coming in just for themselves, and they don't realize it takes a team effort to win and win big. And Chip Hale was a absolutely fabulous manager. Love it. I love him today. I haven't talked to him in years, but I tell you what, he's a good one. He really is. You guys ought to be proud of that guy.
Yeah, Armand's a big Nationals fan, so he was happy.
Yes, we were very happy. Yes, right. And I remember a little bit of Chip Hale when he was a player for the Twins back in the day.
Who was that?
I remember Chip when he was with the Twins. He was a player for the Twins a while back before becoming into coaching.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how well he did with the Twins. I know he was a good ball player, but I'm going to tell you what, I think he was a great manager. I put him higher up on the rank as a manager than I do a player. I just think Chip had what it took. He could motivate people. He'd motivated me several times, but that was just in a conversation. And I thought, boy, his players are going to do it because they like him, number one. They respect him, number two. And number three is he knew what he was talking about. And not every manager does. They're learning just like some of the players. They learn how to manage guys. And I'm telling you, Chip was one of the best ones we had. I always liked him. I mean, I really did. And if you guys see him, tell him I said hello. At least right. So, but we'll leave it there. He's a good one. I love the guy.
Out of all the players that came up rehabbing, who was your favorite?
You know, I'm not sure I really had a favorite one other than on the manager side. I dealt more with the managers than I did the players. I got to tell you, we had a ton of players that I thought were all good. And it was just a break here or there that got them into the major leagues. Like I said, somebody got injured, somebody got hurt or something like that. And then they got the chance to show what they had. And they came out either winning or losing. And if they didn't make it that time, they still had a couple or two or three others. But, you know, I still remember people like Chip Hale that, you know, came in. I also remember manager Brett Butler was one of our managers that we, you know, I talked to you on the phone about. But he was absolutely fabulous. I mean, that guy was a great player, great manager, and a great motivator. He was excellent.
Tell us about Randy Johnson when he had his rehab stint down there. What was he like?
But Randy Johnson was one of the most intimidating players I've ever seen in my life. And when he was on the major league level with the Diamondbacks, we had the pleasure of actually having him on a rehab one day. Called, you know, obviously the general manager from the Diamondbacks called me and said, hey, listen, how would you like to have Randy Johnson pitch for you, you know, like next Thursday? And I went, you're talking about the Randy Johnson, right? I mean,
right.
Randy Johnson. He's going to be in our stadium, and he's coming in when? Well, he's either coming in like a Thursday or a Tuesday, and it was the week before. And I said, when do you know for sure? And he says, if you say you want him, we know for sure. And I went, you got it. We want him. I can tell you that right now. And I got to tell you this, he is a competitive guy, one of the most competitive, spirited guys I've ever seen in my entire life. When he came in there, it was, I think we're doing something here that, did you lose the video here?
Yeah.
Gosh, I wonder why. But anyway, I'll keep talking until
That's
we get
fine,
it.
yeah.
So
We can still hear you.
okay. But I can tell you this, whenever I saw Randy come in, I was the only one that really dealt with him because the owner said, no, you deal with him. You work it out. You know the players. You've been in this ball game well enough to know what a superstar takes. And I talked to Randy, and boy, I tell you what, I know that he's rough around the edges. He was really rough on people, but he demanded perfection. And when he asked you something, he expected an answer. And as long as that answer was there and it was what he expected, it was beautiful. Now, when you had to talk back to him, so Randy, we do it this way for this reason, but you don't make up stuff. You tell them what it is, and then they go, okay, I get it. So what do you want me to do? And it was stuff like that. But I got to tell you that guy was so great. He pitched 5 innings for us, and it was lights out. And I thought he didn't have his stuff. He said, yeah, I wish you could have seen me when I had my stuff. And I laughed about it. But I had a chance to go up there, and I wanted him to sign some autograph balls. And the general manager for the Diamondbacks at the time said, hey, you're on your own. I can't. He didn't sign autographs for anybody. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to ask him. And I asked him, I said, Randy, my name is Rick Parr, and I introduced myself, and I said, I'm the GM here, but I got to tell you, I need a couple of favors. And he says, what do you need? I said, well, I need you to sign a couple autograph balls for me. And he says, you want me to sign autograph? I don't do autograph balls. And I said, oh, well, I need you. And he goes, how many? No, he didn't say how many. He says, okay, I'll do it. So I handed him one, and it was for our ownership. So he signed one, and then he signed another one. And I couldn't get over the fact that he would sign methodically, very slowly. He would write his name. And I couldn't get that, and it was bugging me. And then finally, he says, well, why are you giving me another one? I said, Randy, moi? One for me? He started laughing, and he says, you know what? I like you. He says, yeah, give it to me. I'll sign it. And then we were talking, and as he was talking, I said, Randy, I got another question to ask you, but go ahead and sign it first because I don't want to interrupt you. And he says, yeah, what is it? And he says, listen, this is what I want. He says, what was it you were going to ask me? And I said, I want to know why you methodically sign your name on every ball, Randy Johnson, and it takes you forever to sign it. And he goes, have you ever heard that people want to be perfect? He said, I want to be perfect in everything I do. And he says, when I'm on that mound, that ball's got to go the way I want it to go. And he says, I throw every pitch and I want it to be a perfect pitch. Then I got Randy Johnson. Then all of a sudden, everything makes sense. It was unbelievable. And when he left, before he left, he says, what would you really like me to do? And I said, Randy, this is what I want you to do. I've got a bunch of baseballs out here that I want you to sign for the kids here at the ballpark. I said, I don't care if you take care of the adults or not. I want the kids to have a Randy Johnson baseball that stand in line. And if they're going to stand there, if you'd be so kind to just do it for a couple of innings. And he says, you get the officers out there, I'll be there. And he signed every ball for every kid in that ballpark. And he quit right before the game was over. He says, I can see the game's about over. I got to get out of here before I get mobbed. And I said, Randy, anything for you, let's go. And I'm telling you what a great competitor. Unbelievable. And I never forget that day as long as I live. But boy, those are the stories that make you believe in some of these guys. He always got a raw deal because just maybe the way he looked or maybe the way he acted. But I'm telling you what, talk about a genuine, great athlete. I'll never forget that moment in my entire life. It was just an unbelievable deal. And he is anything but selfish. He is not a selfish guy. I don't care what people think. And he is not arrogant either. None whatsoever. One of the nicest people I've ever met. So that's my story about Randy Johnson. Besides throwing the ball about 100 miles an hour, I got to tell you, it was Tucson Electric Park, all right. It was unbelievable. It was exciting. But he's a good one. He really is. So I tell you what, we had a fun time with those guys.
Hey, Rick, I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
I think you're one of the greatest storytellers that we've had on here. I mean, I'm sitting back here just watching and listening to you, and just the stories that you're saying, like, it just warms my heart just to hear these types of stories. And, this is something that not everybody gets to hear every day. Somebody like you that's had experience, that's grown up through the system, it's just phenomenal just listening, and something that you don't get on ESPN, something you don't get on any of these other networks, but right here with our show, which is pretty phenomenal. But one thing that you talked about Randy Johnson, and from my perspective, I always thought he was a, like rough around the edges type guy. And
rough, baby. Yeah.
So did you see the time that he drilled that bird with the ball and knocked the feathers all off? Can you tell me about that? What do you think about when that happened?
That was at our ballpark. That was at our ballpark. And what people don't realize is that Randy throws so hard. And I'm telling you what, it was, I don't know if it was a pigeon or a dove. I can't remember, but it was set up like a dove, I can tell you this. But what are the odds? Play the odds on this deal. How are you going to get a fastball from Randy Johnson right down the gut? Okay. This is like, it's an impossible. It'll never happen again in your lifetime. He throws one so hard. And this, God love that little bird that came flying through there. And he wasn't that little. He was pretty good size. But he hit that bird and feathers went everywhere and he disappeared. And I'm telling you what, there was literally nothing left of the bird. When he hit that, it just went poof. And everybody went, oh my God, they did it on the instant replay. And they did the bird getting hit by the ball. It was the most phenomenal thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And he even told me, he says, I never thought that could ever happen. And he says, I felt bad for the bird. And I went, you got to be kidding me. I said, this is one of the greatest things ever in my lifetime. I don't really care about the bird. I said, it was a strike, man. It was a beautiful pitch. But he's like that. And he even told us later, we talked about that even when he was there, but he told us anytime we wanted him down there and that he was going to rehab, if he was going to rehab, he wants to do it at Tucson Electric Park. That's what he told us. And I said, Randy, you can come anytime you want. You are welcome here whenever, even if there's not a game playing. So, but he was a dynamic guy. And boy, that year he pitched great. Unbelievable. Those are the little things that happen in a lifetime in the minor leagues that you just don't think about. And the guys that come through, there's some great athletes coming through, and I can't for the life of me just think of them right now. But I saw so many great talented players. And then you get to know them a little bit because you get to talk to them a little bit. And they're not only great players, they're great people, personalities, the stories, just like what we're talking about now. Who would ever get a chance to do this? Nobody, unless you're in the game or you happen to be at the right place at the right time. It's a lifetime full of fun. And I've got to tell you that when you win a championship with the guys that have been with you all year, you talk about fun. Holy smokes, we won the Brick Down Showdown in Oklahoma City. And I'm telling you what, that was a phenomenal game. And I've got the trophy here somewhere. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I got it here some. Oh, you can see it a little bit in the background. See that trophy right there?
Oh, yeah.
You got to kind of zoom in a little bit. I thought you might see it a little bit, but I thought, what the heck, man? That's the real trophy, by the way, because it was actually broken. The real one was broken, and this is the real one. So they made us a brand new one, and that's what the Diamondbacks have at their place. And then they said, no, keep this one because you guys need it. And they fixed that one too. So I went, beautiful, man. I got the real one at my house. I said, this is really good. This is the great thing. You always remember those type of memories for a lifetime. Just absolutely fantastic. So can't
Rick,
tell you how much better it is.
We appreciate your time. We're running out of time here. So we appreciate your time, and we loved your stories. You had some great stories, and we actually look forward to maybe having you on again in the future so we can talk some more about your general manager life and how it's like in the minors and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Brett Butler for us was our manager. He was one of the best managers ever in the game. And maybe we'll talk about him next time if we get a chance. But, hey, guys, thank you so much. Just a pleasure. I'm glad we finally got on so that we can see. Thanks so much,
Thanks
guys.
for being here.
Thanks, Rick.
You bet.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
God bless you and have a great day. How's that?
All right, you too. God bless.
You too. Thanks.
Enjoy the weather
Bye-bye.
down there.
We will. I'll see you later.
See ya.
All right.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for our show today. Go ahead and like and subscribe on the bottom right of the screen. We will have more videos coming up. Next week, we will have Wichita State Hall of Fame pitching coach Brent Kimnitz on the show to talk about Wichita State baseball and his career and all the great players that he coached. So we will see you guys next time, and enjoy your weekend. Bye.